Hey guys, over the past few weeks, we've been talking a lot about population growth and how that looks different in developed and developing countries. And we've also looked at whether or not we should be concerned about this population growth. Some people think that it's going to be a problem, and some people think that it's really no big deal. So, regardless of our personal opinions, what I wanted you to know is that there have been countries that have looked at population growth and thought to themselves, we really should do something about this just in case. So the first one that probably pops into your mind is China with their one-child policy. Now, I don't want to get too much into this. This was a very debated um, topic, still is actually. But in China, they had what was called a one-child rule, and what that said was that families who lived in cities could only have one child. Now, I believe that if they had a girl, they could apply to have a second child because in China and in many Eastern cultures, boys are simply more valued than girls. It's just sort of a cultural norm, which we talked about in the beginning of the school year. I don't think this was as enforced in rural areas. They were definitely allowed to have two, possibly more. But in 2016, I'm pretty sure this was lifted. The country kind of started to look at their population and thought, this might actually be doing more harm than good. Now, I don't know if they are currently at a two-child policy or if it has been lifted altogether. I'm pretty sure it's two-child based on all of the research that I've done, but I have heard that it's been lifted completely. So anyway, this poster just gives you an idea, though, of some of the ways that they shared this campaign with the people. Very colorful imagery, lots of symbolism in here. But it's showing, with one child, look at how wonderful life can be, right? It's colorful, it's appealing. So that's China. Now in India, we see a similar population boom. This is definitely one of my favorite posters in this whole series. Why don't you take a second? I really hate doing this through a video like this. This is one of my favorite conversations and discussions that I usually have with my students all year because it's fun to find the little details in the pictures. But since we can't do that, why don't you take a second and pause the video and just think about what you see here? Okay, so looking right away at the bottom, it's pretty much captioned big family, problems all the way. Over here, small family, happiness all the way. And the picture really does depict that. So over here, we see a tree that's dead, trees in the background that are dead, no vegetation. The dwelling, the house is not in great shape. The roof is falling apart. There's a blackbird or a crow. That's usually associated with, bad times. Um, there's no door, which actually that's an activity I want to do with you later, looking at doors around the world, because there's a lot more to it than, just a door with a doorknob. It says a lot more about a family and a culture. Anyway, all of these children, no shoes, they're looking sort of sickly. There's a dog, which nothing wrong with dogs, but in places like India, sometimes dogs are associated more with poverty, right? It's not really considered having a pet. It's more a sign of, difficult situations. Anyway, the clothes are sort of torn and tattered. Um, they look unhealthy. They don't look happy. Um, yeah, it's just not very colorful. Now we look over here and it's a much nicer dwelling. The roof is in, great shape. The tree has leaves on it. There's grass or agriculture in the background. I've had students debate over whether or not this is a car or a plow, but either way, it shows a certain level of wealth or at least access to possessions, right? There's a chicken here, so to me that says they have access to food, a window, a door, an actual door, shoes, nicer clothes, brighter colors overall. Um, they look healthier, right? They don't look sickly. And I'm pretty sure this is a school bag, right? We even have a little school bag in the corner to show that these people have access to education, which is a wonderful thing as we've discussed. And again, just the overall imagery, you look over here and it's colorful and vibrant, and you look over here and it's dull and kind of depressing. So this was India's poster campaign to basically say, small families are better. You'll be able to provide more for your family. You will have access to more of the things that you need. It's just a better approach, right? So then we scroll down. This is another one out of India. Here we have a father and a mother, and they're hugging their daughter. And if you scroll down, you see 4 more smaller images. Now, India, like China, as we discussed, definitely put more value on the son. So pause the video for a second. Think about what you see here, and then I'll explain. Okay, so if I look at, when I look at this, what I see are 4 traditionally male professions or roles, right? We've got the military, a scientist, a business person, and a doctor. Now, I say traditional because I think in America, we've come a very long way with this. But, in India, they're saying if you have a daughter, that's okay. She could fill these roles. She could be successful. She could provide for her family and your family if necessary. If you have a girl, you don't have to keep trying for a boy. You don't have to have a large family. Girls can be just as successful as boys. All right, let's scroll down. Maybe we'll just do one more. This one comes out of Kenya. It says, plan your family, right? Think about your family size. Have the number of children that you can feed, clothe, and educate. So over here, we see a small family, nicely dressed. They look clean. They're wearing school uniforms. They look healthy, and they're carrying their books. They're ready for school, right? They're smiling. And then over here, we have a larger family. Their clothes are not as nice. They don't have as much meat on their bones, right? They're a little more sickly looking. This poor little child here just breaks my heart. And one child is carrying school books. So out of this whole family, the only one that's going to school is the oldest boy. So here's a country saying to its people, really think about the size of your family. If you can't afford to feed everyone and put clothes on everyone's bodies and send them all to school to be educated so that they can be productive citizens in our country one day, then please do not have those children. Do not have so many children. Okay, so it's all about family planning here. So those were just a couple campaigns that different countries have tried to sort of get into the minds of their people to say, help us control the size of our country. So what I want you to do for today's activity is just in a very short response, maybe one sentence. You can either type it or do an audio recording or a video recording. Tell me, does America do anything to control its population? Do we have a population campaign? And if so, what is it? All right. So I hope you enjoyed those posters. I always like looking at those. I'm excited to see your answers. All right. Have a great day.